Also, One Punch Man. One Punch Man, der Manga, der ist zu gut. Ich habe noch nie so gute Zeichnungen gesehen. Wirklich nicht. Die Zeichnungen bei One Punch Man, die sind einfach, Digga, ich weiß nicht, was ich dazu sagen soll. Die sind so geil. Ich würde sagen, einer von den besten Zeichnungen in einem Manga, die ich je gesehen habe. Ich weiß, es existieren Mangas, wie Vagabond und so weiter. Die werde ich mir natürlich noch anschauen. Irgendwann. Aktuell bin ich Bleach-Manga am Lesen. Und danach schaue ich den Anime. Ich habe sehr viel vor, deswegen das mal beiseite und mal kurz über One Punch Man reden. Ich reagiere aktuell auf One Piece, all die Mangas, Chapter, die neuen. Und dasselbe habe ich jetzt vor mit One Punch Man. Allerdings glaube ich, dass ich das nicht so machen kann wie mit One Piece. Deswegen schaue ich mir dazu Reviews an. Entweder von Mastermedia oder von Antiku. Ne? Ich würde sagen, ich wechsle mal da ab. Also ich glaube, ihr wisst, was jetzt folgt, ne?
Alright, my beautiful baldies, we're back with One Punch Man Chapter 178. Oh, we got a lot to talk about. Saitama vs. Full Power Tatsumaki. And apparently there's like this crazy love triangle.
Ah, Bruder, also dazu, weil sie hat gefragt, welche Beziehung er mit Fubuki steht. Also Beziehung, nicht Beziehung, sondern Beziehung. Einfach, ne, wie er zu ihr steht. Dann hat er gesagt, noch ein Bekannter. Da hat man so eine Szene gesehen von ihm im Gesicht. Das fand ich sehr gut gezeichnet, von den Emotionen her. Das fand ich sehr interessant. Plus jetzt mit, das Fubuki, jetzt, wie heißt die? Lost. Tatsumaki. Weil er sie so gegrabt hat. Weil er mit ihr rausgeflogen ist. Und sie dann so schockgestarrt war, so. Ja, ich glaube, ihr werdet noch sehen, wieso.
Happening between Saitama x Fubuki x Tatsumaki. Which one is Saitama going to end up with? There's definitely some romantic element.
Finde ich jetzt nicht so sehr, wenn ich davon ausgehen müsste, Fubuki. Aber, Bruder,
Murata are teasing us that Saitama's gonna end up with one of them. He even embraces Tatsumaki at one point, and the look
ja, das war die Szene, Digga, Bruder. Also die Zeichnungen waren da, Bruder.
on her face is priceless. I'm sure you guys have seen this picture all over Twitter. So we have a lot to talk about. That's coming up right after this. So the chapter cover is Fubuki.
Do it outside. Do it outside. Und dann Fubuki.
Not like we haven't seen her on the cover, 8,000 times before.
Die war jetzt die ganze Zeit auf dem Cover. Und jetzt ist sie eigentlich, also, ach, egal.
I like that he did this because it looks like he gave this to fans for them to color. So the One Punch Man community is awesome. Like, not only do they, do animations and fan comics.
Spaß, die One Punch Man Fan-Animators, ja, kann man den Fan-Drawers sagen? Die Fanzeichnungen, Fan-Art-Style, wie man dem jetzt auch genau sagt, das ist einfach krass.
And stuff like One Punch Man vs. God, but they also do a lot of manga colorings, and I think he knows that. I mean, I know a lot of people reply to him, like Murata himself tweets a lot. I think he kind of gave us this Fubuki for people to just color, and I think that's just really cool in its own right. And as we saw at the end of the last chapter, Tatsumaki was in a psychic battle with the Tsukuyomi, and she ended up just deleting the guy near the end of the chapter, but not before Saitama arrived and stopped Tatsumaki from hurting all of Fubuki's Blizzard group, because Tatsumaki said that they're useless, they have no powers, they don't help her, and Fubuki should just learn to be on her own. But Saitama didn't like the thought of Tatsumaki hurting innocent people, especially heroes, so he grabbed her arm, and you're like, oh boy, it's about to go down.
Das finde ich gut, Digga, dass Saitama einfach, ne? Immer noch daran denkt, yo, keine verletzen, so mäßig. Das ist immer noch so, das ist so der Hero-Gedanke. Aber das Thema Hero in Anime, Bruder, schwieriges Thema.
And it does. So as Tatsumaki starts to use her psychic power, obviously Saitama isn't going to move very much, but he does actually start vibrating, which is like a huge feat in its own right, to even like be able to manipulate Saitama's body at all.
Ich meine, das ist die Situation, wo er gegen diesen Alien-Typen da gekämpft hat. Bruder, ja, keine Ahnung, gegen diesen Alien-Typen da. Dann hat er da, war auch so im Anime so, nicht, dass er da so nach unten gedingselt wurde, aber trotzdem war er nix. Literally, war nichts zu seinem Körper.
Maybe it's not that big of a feat. I mean, like, Sea King did just punch
Ja, das ist, ne, genau.
Baldy on the back of the head, and it did bobblehead it didn't do any damage, but I think it's pretty impressive here in any case that Tatsumaki, using her psychic power, is actually able to, like, move Saitama, because perhaps she could just throw him out into space, but we do know that Saitama could just serious fart his way back to Earth. Or even considering the fact that Saitama can fly in space and he doesn't need to breathe. So he's trying to tell Tatsumaki to calm down, and that pisses her off even more. She starts to use her psychic powers so much that it starts to destroy the surrounding area. But Saitama isn't very impressed. He's like, this is the same psychic power you used against Genos to fling him into that rock, which we saw in episode 12 of season 1 of the anime. And he's saying, your power is not much different than Fubuki's, and you know.
Wow! Ja, also weil Finn spürt jetzt nicht so sehr, oder? Ich weiß nicht, aber krass, dass er das sagt.
We did see Saitama fight Fubuki as well. And to Saitama, of course, it's not much different because no Esper can harm Saitama, so it all seems the same to him.
Ja, seht ihr diesen Alien? Da, genau.
To Tatsumaki, that actually pisses her off quite a bit. And Fubuki makes a point to be like, yo, stop provoking Tatsumaki. Like, you don't want to see her use her full power. So she starts to release like more of her Esper power, raising her power level. And the resulting damage is crazy. I mean, this reminds me of like the first battle with Orochi when Saitama fought him and he used that crazy like dragon twister blast attack and it just shot like this giant hole through the earth. This is very, very similar. So we get to see what happens with what Tatsumaki is exactly doing with her psychic power when she's trying to like hurt someone with it. And it's twist their body into like a spiral. Essentially what she did with the Monster Association as she
Ich schwör auf alles. Die Manga-Szene, der war so gut gezeichnet da. Ach, Digga.
turned it into like a giant spear and killed Psycho Orochi with it. And you can see Saitama like visibly being affected by this. Again, that's pretty impressive in its own right as well. Tatsumaki can't believe that Saitama can endure it, and Saitama responds with, what's going on? My muscles are twitching on their own. And this surprises Fubuki as well, because she can't believe that Saitama can withstand Tatsumaki's full power.
Dass die Leute hier immer, das ist so geil, dass sie immer noch nicht wissen, was mit Saitama genau ist. Ich bin gespannt, was es dann wird, wenn man alles irgendwann klarer wird. Ne, es gibt jedes Mal Reactions, warum kann er das aushalten, warum ist er so stark, warum kann er dies, das, bla bla. Das ist aber krass.
Now keep in mind these translations are fan translations, so this might not be the official translation. I don't know if this is exactly Tatsumaki's full power, but it's probably up there. Now here's where things get really interesting, okay? So Tatsumaki says, I thought I've seen you somewhere before. You're the baldy that was with Genos. Weren't you part of the Fubuki group too? And that's when Saitama says, Fubuki, get everyone out of here. It's about to get dangerous.
Wie sie reagiert? Yes!
And we get this kind of like blushed look on Tatsumaki as she says, you're awfully familiar with my little sister, aren't you? Do you like her? Are you guys dating? Like, you know, is there something going on here? You know, she's kind of like almost like, oh, maybe I shouldn't kill you, you know, if you're like with my sister like that. And Saitama...
ich habe ja das Gefühl, dass sie da so ist, warum kennst du sie? Bla bla. Ein bisschen angepisst, nicht so mäßig, was er jetzt sagt.
I'm not her friend. And the look on Fubuki's face in the next few panels is so priceless, dude. I'm not her companion or a mutual friend. I'm just an acquaintance. The look of
holy shit
on Fubuki's face.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Priceless. Is Saitama a Sigma Chad or what, dude?
Also, Bruder, muss ich ganz richtig los.
Why did Saitama say this? Isn't he supposed to fall in love with Fubuki? Or is he supposed to fall in love with Tatsumaki?
Oh, hell no.
Because we did see Tatsumaki kind of have a moment with Genos, and it was...
Ja, eben, das war, ne? Das ist schon krass, Bruder.
Looking a little bit like...
Boah, ist das krass!
For a while, Saitama might end up with Fubuki and Genos with Tatsumaki at the end of the series, right? Now we're not so sure. You see, the thing is about Fubuki is she's only been using him this entire time because he's strong. And in essence, Tatsumaki is right when she's telling her sister, you don't need anyone else. And Fubuki has just been preying on Saitama because she wants a really strong member in the group, and she sees him more of a subordinate, even though she knows how strong he actually is. She hasn't really expressed much romantic interest or anything, even like friendship in Saitama.
Ja, eben, das meine ich so. Deswegen verstehe ich halt die anderen Sachen mit der Dings nicht. Soll er jetzt mit Fubuki oder mit Tatsumaki zusammenkommen? Das stecke ich nicht ganz.
She's more just trying to use him. And I think Saitama he's not Goku, right? Like, he's a lot smarter than he comes off as. Like, I think his, like, nature is pretty goofy and he can seem stupid. But Saitama is not stupid. Like, he's really good at kind of, like, seeing through people.
Ja, doch hat er recht.
And I think that he has seen through Fubuki. So I was tweeting about this chapter yesterday quite a bit and saying that Saitama was a Sigma Chad. And I got this funny reply from Andy Edward who said, "It's just another proof that he has ascended beyond humanly earthly desires, because no man can hold himself from having that cake in front of him." And then we get a lot of cake in this chapter.
Brother.
I mean, take a look at this next image. Tatsumaki getting pretty pissed and like, "Oh, you're nothing to my sister? Okay, time to kill you now." And it's pretty evident here that Murata knows exactly what he's doing with these two sisters.
Digga, wie er die zeichnet.
I think it makes him happy.
Ganz weird.
A lot. Like Murata definitely, he just has fun with the aesthetic look and posing of the two sisters. And it's like, I think he's done this on purpose to kind of create these two subgroups of the One Punch Man community. You have Saitama x Fubuki shippers and Saitama x Tatsumaki shippers. Now that's gonna come in a video tomorrow. I wanna talk about the crazy love triangle in One Punch Man right now, because there are two groups fighting with each other, literally fighting with each other on Twitter and Reddit about who Saitama's gonna end up with and who's the better waifu. So Tatsumaki says, "I'm gonna test you, Saitama, to see if you deserve to be hanging all over my little sister Fubuki like that." He's like,
Ah ja.
"Like, what do you mean hanging over? She's always dragging me around and being a pain in the arse." And that's when Tatsumaki starts to release even more psychic power.
Oh mein Gott.
To crumble the new hero complex where Saitama's house is, his new house, because you gotta remember that Tatsumaki's spear of monster association attack destroyed Saitama's apartment. So now he's living in the new hero building with all the other heroes and rich residents that are over there. And Tatsumaki's psychic power is starting to crumble that building. So Saitama's like, "You treat people's houses like rags." And yeah, I mean, Tatsumaki doesn't care. There's
How long can you handle it? Die hat doch keine Ahnung.
not really anybody that can stop her, she doesn't think, except maybe Blast. And she's like laughing. She's like, "Haha, how long?"
Und dann dieses Chapter. Und dann dieses Bild. Und dann dieses Bild. Und dann dieses Bild.
Straight up grabs her. So this is like the funniest panel with this one and the next one. I love this picture so much. First of all, what are those?
Boah, Crocs. Oh mein Gott, was?
What is my man Saitama doing with them Crocs? I don't know. It's hilarious in its own right. And Tatsumaki's face is so funny. The eyeball. She's never really been touched, I don't think, by like any man. She was taken over by the Tsukiyomi and experimented on for 3 years before Blast saved her. I don't know if Blast like raised her a little bit or just disappeared and she kind of raised herself.
Bruh.
It makes a little bit more sense seeing as she's such a loner. Oh boy. Okay, so we gotta talk about this picture.
Wieso?
This picture has fans going absolutely
Ah, cringe, Digga.
Is my man copping a feel? I mean, he's hugging her so tight that it's squishing her boobie. Now, the face she has on is
Ja.
so priceless, and Murata drew it so well. It perfectly depicts
Ja, das meine ich. Die Zeichnungen sind gut.
Tatsumaki's head right now. First of all, she's probably never been embraced like that, so that's
Ja,
a
und?
new feeling. And she's never encountered anyone that can manhandle her except maybe Blast. So
Ja.
this is completely throwing her off, and now that she
Das ist einfach so ein Moment. Digga, was passiert hier gerade? Was soll das denn? Was ist denn hier los?
knows that Saitama isn't interested in her sister, this is where the fandom's like, "Oh, we're gonna get Saitama x Tatsumaki. She's gonna see Saitama as like the only one that can stand up to her, and that's gonna turn her on, and she's gonna like want him." Now, is there gonna be a fight between the two sisters over who gets to date Saitama in the future?
Oh, hell no, bitte nicht.
I don't know. We'll talk about that in the love triangle video that's coming this weekend. But in any case, this panel is just marvelous. Like, I was laughing my butt off. So because Saitama doesn't want Tatsumaki to use her psychic power too much and destroy his new house, he just rockets out of the ceiling with her. And they just fly up into the sky. I love this double page panel, by the way. I mean, look at the angling, the foreshortening.
Das ist so gut, Mann. Schaut euch das an, Digga. Man sieht immer noch zum Teil ihre Reaktion hier. Ich bin noch so geflasht.
The detail of the city, even like the landscape with all these craters from, you know, the Cosmic Garo fight and all this stuff. It's just awesome. So Fubuki looks up. God, it's a beautiful picture of her. I mean, dude, the way he uses lights and darks to give her so much volume, it's just beautiful art. Fubuki says, "Saitama and Big Sis, it's begun." And it's going to go on for a while. So in the webcomic, this was like I believe 3 or 4 chapters long. They're fighting. I just covered that on my channel earlier as well.
Dieses Fanart sagt.
Pretty big hype event that is about to happen here in the manga. And yeah, guys, that's the end of the chapter.
Nach Garu, Digga, direkt das hier mit dazu machen.
So I love this. This was
krass.
like funny and engaging to fans because now you have people like fighting with each other over like which.
Ja, dazu will ich nichts mehr hören, Digga. Nee, no shit, ja, was soll denn das? Aber das Chapter ist sehr, sehr geil. Holy shit.